you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Several years ago, I was involved in a discussion about Japanese culture with a group of Japanese people and British people. When I started expressing my opinion by saying, "We Japanese think," one of the British men interrupted me. He looked a little irritated and said, "Everyone here says, 'We Japanese' here, but how can you know what other Japanese people think? I would be angry if other Britishman said, 'We Britishman think.' You should recognize that your opinion is only yours, not others." That was a very awakening remark for me. Japan is considered to be a homogeneous country, and all Japanese people have black eyes and black hair. Unlike Western novels, Japanese writers don't describe the color of their characters' eyes or hair at the beginning of their novels. So having the same physical appearance may be one of the reasons why Japanese people think that they have the same idea. Japan has put more emphasis on group than on an individual. So a person who sticks out is usually pounded down. So it is natural that Japanese people are very conscious of what other people think, and they try to be of the same opinion as others. When I say "we Japanese think," I am not expressing my own opinion. I am just expressing what is normally thought in Japanese society. When I say "we Japanese think," I feel secured, and I can expect some agreements from my fellow Japanese members. Japan is an island country, and it is one of the few lucky countries which had almost never been invaded by strong countries. Fortunately enough, Japanese people have lived by themselves for a long time and developed the similar consciousness and numerous tacit understandings. Gradually, they have depended on others to understand them without talking. Then they consider it better to be understood without a word being said. This mentality resulted in neglecting speaking skills and making opinions. This is all right when they live in a community consisting of only Japanese people. But in this small world, they need to interact with people from other countries. When it comes to interacting or communicating with people with different backgrounds, this mentality is far from appropriate. They cannot expect foreigners to guess what they are thinking, or what they are getting at. So failure to communicate causes a lot of problems and inconvenience. For example, Japan contributes the second largest amount of money to the United Nations. But Japan doesn't have as much say in United Nations decision making. I think this is in part because of the lack of communication skills on the part of Japanese delegates. They fail to explain Japanese ideas fully to the world. So, how can the Japanese people get rid of this mentality? How can they get rid of this emotional dependence on others to understand them? I think they should learn a lesson from history. 100 years ago, people in Japan thought that they belonged to each prefecture, not to Japan. Japan was practically divided into small autonomies. In such an era, one person decided to leave his hometown and become Japanese. His name is Sakamoto Ryoma. He decided to leave his hometown, Tosa. It is the present Kochi prefecture. But leaving his hometown means he abandoned his identity as a Tosa person. He can be independent of his community, but at the same time, he got out of its protection. So it must be a very brave decision, and he must have had a lot of trouble after that. But his decision was right. He got things in perspective. A lot of people followed him, and Japan became united. I think the present Japanese people should take one further step. That is, they should consider themselves a member of the world, not a member of Japan. Then they can notice the diversity of the people, and they can recognize the importance of exchanging ideas, and they can understand the importance of or necessity of effective communication. There are more than 6 billion people in the world, and every single person has his or her own opinion, and every opinion is unique. You cannot have you cannot have exactly the same opinion as others. So let's not say we Japanese think. We should be responsible for our own opinion, and at the same time, we should be confident and proud of our unique opinion. Thank you very much.
1 minute of silence.